Today we're going to show you how to make this faux leather backpack, or is it a crossbody purse? Welcome back to the Sailrite Workbench. This dual-purpose faux leather bag is the perfect stylish accessory for anyone on the go. With convertible straps, it doubles as either a backpack or a crossbody purse. Whether you make this an everyday bag or just use it for travel, its versatility is an advantage you never knew you needed. For this project, we will use 2 yards of Nook Indoor Faux Leather, 1 yard of Magnolia Home fabric, template plastic, a 1.5-inch swivel hook, a 1 1/4 inch round ring, 4 bag feet, Tex 90 thread, 2 sheets of 12-inch by 24-inch closed cell foam padding, and 2 magnetic snap fasteners. Here are all the tools we will use for this project, and today we'll be sewing with the Sailrite UltraFeed LSZ. If you want a printout of all of the measurements, we've linked them in a PDF in the description below. First, take the fabric you will use for the liner and cut it into 2 18 by 16-inch rectangles and 1 10 by 5-inch rectangle. Set those aside for now. You will come back to them later. Take your Nook fabric and lay it on your work surface so the wrong side of the fabric is facing up. Measure and mark each panel and strap onto this fabric. Here are the exact measurements for each panel and the straps. 2 18 by 16-inch rectangles, 1 10 by 5-inch rectangle, 2 3 by 10-inch rectangles for the hardware straps, 2 2.5 by 4-inch rectangles for the strap holders, and 2 3 by 72-inch rectangles for the straps. These straps are really long, but using the cordless rotary cutter made cutting them a breeze. It's really good for using on long runs of fabric, just like this. Now that all the necessary panels are cut out, set aside the 2 18 by 16-inch panels along with the 10 by 5-inch panel. Now take your 3 by 72-inch straps and lay basting tape down the middle. You'll continue this down the rest of the strap. Fold in the edges so both sides meet in the center. Folding each of these straps is important so the raw edges of the fabric are not visible. You'll continue this fold down the rest of the strap. Your end result should look like this. Now that you're done with your first one, repeat this step on the other. Then take the 2 2.5 by 4-inch rectangles and place basting tape on both 4-inch sides and fold them in. Repeat this step on the 2.5-inch side as well. Once the edges are folded, each strap holder should measure 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. Now take both 3 by 10-inch rectangles and use basting tape to fold in both sides so they meet in the middle. Slip one side of the swivel hook hardware onto one side of the folded rectangle and flip it up about 1 inch. Secure it with basting tape. Then fold the other end in as well and secure it with basting tape. Repeat this step with the other 3 by 10-inch rectangle using the round ring instead of the swivel hook. Before we head over to the sewing machine, take your 2 straps and baste them on top of each other. After all the pieces are folded and basted, take the 2 smallest rectangles and straps over to the sewing machine. You want to sew as close to the edge of the strap pieces as possible. So if you're using the LSZ, be sure to adjust your needle to the right. Now place the strap pieces under the foot and backstitch before continuing to sew along the entire length. If you're using a straight stitch only machine, we recommend using a left zipper foot to get your needle as close to the edge as you can. Then repeat this step on the other side of the strap. For the 2 small pieces, you are only going to sew on the long edges of the rectangle. Once those pieces are sewn, it's time to lay the straps out on the large panels. The first panel will include the shoulder strap, the 2 strap holders, and the strap with the swivel hook. First, using basting tape, place the swivel hook strap in the center of the panel a 1/2 inch down from the top. Then lay the strap in an upside down U shape on top of the panel. Take the strap holders and place them 4.5 inches down from the top and approximately 3 inches apart using basting tape. Now set that panel aside and attach the strap with the round ring onto the bottom of the other panel approximately 10 inches down from the top. After all the small pieces are basted onto your panels, you can head over to the sewing machine. First, sew the strap holders onto the panel, only sewing the 2 sides that were not previously sewn. Once again, sew closer to the edge and backstitch. Repeat this step on the other side. Now stitch the perimeter of the swivel hook strap starting on the top and sewing all the way around until you meet at the same place you started. In an earlier step, I mistakenly folded and basted the end of the round ring strap, but we should have left that unfolded, so let's unfold that now. We will sew around the edges of the round ring strap, leaving the unfolded edge unsewn. Once everything is sewn onto the panels, we're going to head back over to our workbench. Take the 10 by 5 inch panel and set it aside. Now it's time to focus on the bottom of the bag. Measure and cut the closed cell foam into a 9.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle. Using Cushionrite spray adhesive, spray one side of the foam and place it onto the bag panel, making sure it's centered. To install the bag feet, measure and mark a 1.5 by 1.5 inch square onto the 4 corners of the foam. Using the rotary punch, punch holes into all 4 marks. Now take your bag feet and screw them into place. All of the bag panels have their necessary attachments. It is time to sew each panel together. Using clips and making sure the bottom panel is centered, clip the front panel and the straps into the bottom panel. Then clip the back panel to the bottom panel as well. At the sewing machine, sew the 3 panels together, going over the strap ends more than once so they are secure. Now clip each side of the large panels together, once again using clips. Sew the length of the panels together, backstitching at the top and bottom. Repeat this step on the other side. After both sides are sewn together, it's time to sew the sides to the bottom panel. To do so, gently push the side seam towards the inside of the bag so that the sides meet up with the bottom panel. Use the clips to hold the sides and bottom together. Repeat this step on the other side. Then sew the panels together, making sure the stitches meet up so there are no open corners. Once the bag is all sewn together, flip the bag right side out. This bag right now is very flimsy, which is why we added the closed cell foam padding to the bottom. We will do the same to add structure to the front and back of the bag. To start, we will cut 2 10.5 by 12.5 inch rectangles out of the closed cell foam padding. Now cut one piece of padding into a 10.5 by 9 inch rectangle for the front of the bag. Once it is cut, set it aside. We're going to structure the bag further. To do this, you'll need 2 10.5 by 12.5 inch rectangles and the template plastic. Spray one piece of 10.5 by 12.5 inch padding with the spray adhesive and let that get tacky and stick a sheet of the template plastic on top. Now spray the template sheet and sandwich the other 10.5 by 12.5 inch foam pad on top. Then spray one side of the padding assembly with the foam adhesive spray and stick it into the back panel of the bag, making sure it is centered. Repeat this step with the 10.5 by 9-inch foam panel for the front of the bag. This is a little hard to show, but when you're done, this is what it should look like. Next, we're going to add magnetic snaps to the side of the bag so that when the top folds in, it does not flare out. To do so, measure 2 inches down and 1 inch away from the center stitch on one side and press the magnetic snap into the fabric. This should indent your fabric so you know where to cut the fabric and push the snap in. Now add the back of the fastener and flatten the prongs. Using the same process, install the other side of the magnetic snap fastener onto the same side of the bag. Now we'll flip the bag over and add the other 2 magnetic snap fasteners. Once they're installed, they'll come together like this. Now it's time to sew the liner together. This process should look familiar. Grab the 2 18 by 16 inch panels and the 10 by 5 inch panel you cut out of your lining fabric. Using clips and making sure the bottom panel is centered, clip the front panel to the bottom panel, then clip the back panel to the bottom panel as well. Make sure the right side of each panel is facing inward towards the others. At the sewing machine, sew each panel together. Now clip each side of the large panels together once again using clips. Sew the length of the panels together, backstitching at the top and bottom. Repeat this step on the other side. After both sides are sewn together, it's time to sew the sides to the bottom panel. To do so, gently push the side seam inward so that the sides meet up with the bottom panel. Use clips to hold the sides and bottom together. Then sew both sides to the bottom panel, making sure the stitches meet up so there are no open corners. Once the liner is sewn together, keep the liner inside out. Now slip the liner over the bag. Then clip half of the liner onto the side of the bag with the straps. Now at the sewing machine, stitch that half of the liner onto the bag. Then take the liner and flip it into the bag, making sure the liner is flush with the inside of the bag. Next, clip the perimeter of the bag, folding both the bag and the liner where they were not sewn to hide the raw edges of the fabric. To make it extra secure, I also clipped the top portion of the bag. Finally, top stitch around the perimeter of the bag and backstitch at the same point you started. It can be a little tricky to top stitch around the perimeter of the bag, so go slow and make adjustments as you turn the bag. Now we'll snap the magnetic snap fasteners together and fold it over and clip the hook into the ring. And now your bag is all done. Now you have a dual-purpose faux leather bag that's perfect for everyday use or for any adventure. Tag us on social if you decide to make one yourself. All tools and materials are linked in the description below. If you want to see more of our DIYs, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell notification so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.